The American Academy of Pediatrics, based on available science and literature, recommends against the use of corporal punishment. Hey guys, welcome back. Mama Dr. Jones, OBGYN, and Mom24. I don't know if I ever thought I would be making a video about this, but there happens to be a wide array of very good literature on this subject. So today we're talking about spanking, and I'm probably going to make some of you angry. I happened to pull up the Philip DeFranco show this evening, and there was a story about a small YouTuber who posted a video of her 2-year-old crying in the background because she had spanked them about a makeup palette that the child had ruined. In the defense of that video, when it started picking up traction and she was getting a little bit of backlash, she said, "I don't want to defend myself to you people who don't even have children.
I shouldn't have to explain my parenting to people who aren't parents." And to that I would say, well, hello.
I've never stopped another YouTube video so fast to come up to this room and make my own video as I did today. I am not only a mom with 4 children, including one who is 3 and absolutely insane, but I'm also a doctor. I have an opinion. And so does science. We're going to start by calling this what it is. If you spank your child, you use hitting as physical punishment. This person said in their text, it's a Southern thing. I grew up in the South. I don't care what you call it. It's hitting. You're hitting your child. Let's talk about the science, and then if I need to, because I'm pretty sure it may already be clear how I feel about this issue, I'll throw in my personal opinion at the end. Spanking is largely looked down upon by almost every professional pediatric association which is affiliated with modern medicine. American Academy of Psychiatry, American Humane Association, National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners, National Association of Social Workers. All of these major child protection and or child medical organizations have come out saying they believe spanking should not be used. The American Academy of Pediatrics, based on available science and literature, recommends against the use of corporal punishment because it is not effective and is associated with negative effects. But aside from that, most human rights associations believe that hitting a child as a form of punishment is a violation of human rights. The United Nations has unequivocally said corporal punishment and other cruel and degrading forms of punishment are forms of violence. And they go on to further say that the corporal punishment violates Article 19 of the Convention, which protects children from all forms of physical or mental violence. They, the United Nations, go on to state that this should be banned in all contexts. What have we established so far? The United Nations most medically oriented and violence prevention pediatric associations have deemed corporal punishment and or spanking, hitting, popping, whatever you decide you want to call it, as not okay. In fact, the conclusion on this kind of conglomeration of all the literature is we now have enough research to conclude that spanking is ineffective at best and harmful to children at worst. Okay, we've reviewed a little bit of what these organizations say. So why is it that they believe this? The data really strongly indicates that physical punishment for a child does not improve their behavior. And I will link, as usual, studies about all of this in the description box. There is very strong literature that indicates that using physical violence or spanking as a form of punishment for children is associated with an increased chance of that child going on to be physically violent as an adult. In what way? An increased risk of aggression, dating violence, and intimate partner violence as an adult. Does that mean that every kid who is spanked becomes an aggressive, violent adult? No. That doesn't mean that if you were spanked as a child, you have to grow up and be aggressive. And it doesn't mean that every person who is an aggressive or violent adult is that way because they were spanked as a child. That is not what a correlation means. But it does mean that there is a link there. If the benefit is great, every kid who is spanked has much better improvement in their behavior, then maybe we try to reason out that correlation a little better. But when you see a correlation that says spanking does not improve the behavior that you're trying to use it as discipline for, and you see this correlation to potentially being more violent as an adult, it just doesn't make sense anymore. In my book, doing things the way we've always done them, purely because that's the way we've always done them, makes no sense. I'm gonna jump out of science me and into mom me. When I got married, I told my husband, like, spanking's off the table. He's like a very kind and gentle person in general, so it's very easy to convince him of that. But he has said, like, if that hadn't been something that I really put my foot down about, he may not have felt that way. But that many times since then, he has been very frustrated with the children, as have I, and thought, I'm really glad we don't spank because that would be an outlet for me to get my aggression out on a kid, and that's not okay. If I'm going to teach my child that the correct way to manage problems that you have in your life is to use your words, and then I'm going to turn around and correct their behavior with my hands, I'm failing them. The best thing you can do for your kid is set an example. Don't come at me with, I was spanked as a child and I turned out just fine. Great. I'm very happy for you. Science doesn't care what you as an individual had as an outcome. The population data says if you were hit as a child, you are more likely to be physically violent as an adult. That doesn't mean every single person who was spanked as a child is a violent adult, but there is a correlation and it matters. Don't come at me and tell me that the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. With the very express risk of alienating a large portion of my audience, science doesn't care what Proverbs says. I'm all for taking biblical principles and making them into positive parts of your life, but I will not let you take a biblical proverb from the Old Testament and use that as your reasoning to hit your child. If you want to continue doing that, I want you to do that under the knowledge that science, medicine, and every agency that is out to protect children's rights disagrees with you. Using the Bible to justify something which we clearly see to be negatively affecting our children is wrong. If you want to argue in the comments, I would really appreciate if you would really take an introspective look at why. You are trying to justify your right to physically hurt your child in attempts to improve their behavior, knowing that it does not scientifically improve their behavior, but it does scientifically improve the chances of them being aggressive as adults. That's what we're trying to justify. I don't normally make videos like this. I don't normally get halfway through a Philip DeFranco video, stop it, and come up here and film something, but I can't understand the need to justify this. I just wanted to put the literature out there. I just wanted you guys to have the information that I have. We don't use our hands to hurt other people. This is the philosophy in our house. I want them to continue to watch myself, my husband, all of us interact without purposefully using our hands to hurt other people. I don't ever want them to be confused about if maybe it's okay to do that sometimes. It's not okay. It's just not okay. When I was walking up the stairs thinking I'm gonna make this video, I thought, okay, well, I'll just end it saying, like, whatever you decide to do, you know, that's your prerogative. But I'm not ending it like that. This isn't your prerogative. It's not backed by science. It increases the chances your child will be physically violent, and it encourages physical violence or using your hands to try to change the behaviors of other people. None of those things are good. If you're sitting here trying to justify why it's okay, give some really deep thought into what is prompting you to need to do that. Let it go. It is so much better to use your words, to use your mind, and to discuss and have a conversation. Philip DeFranco goes on to talk about quiet time, alone time, getting his kid away from the situation that's causing such angst, especially in a 2-year-old. And there's so much value in that. We can do so much better. You are better than this. You do not have to hit your children to make them be good. You don't. It doesn't make you feel good, it doesn't make them feel good, and it doesn't have positive effects in the long run. Thank you for listening. Be kind to yourself, to each other, to me. In the comments, be kind, and I will see you next time.